Breaking news coming in here on India Today Global. 4 Iranian diplomats have been killed in Lebanon on Sunday in an Israeli attack. Those are reports that are coming in that 4 Iranian diplomats now have been killed in Lebanon. This is counter strikes on Iranian missions or diplomats in countries like Lebanon, which have a massive support for Iran after what Israel sees as an attack on their allies or American allies in the Arab world. So four Iranian diplomats reportedly killed in Lebanon after an Israeli attack. Meanwhile, we're getting information also on the press conference that was held not so long ago, where Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has warned Russia against becoming involved in the conflict following a call between Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. He described the conversation as a strong call, but also added that Russia should not get involved. Listen in.
Well, the president, as I've said before, maintains strong relationships with world leaders, which creates opportunities and options for us in very dynamic ways. So the president said it was a good call. I was not on it, but those that were said it was a strong call, reaffirming hopefully the opportunity for some peace in Russia, Ukraine, and also a recognition that as it pertains to this conflict, they should not be involved.
Well, that's the strong reaction that's coming in from the United States of America, warning almost Russia not to get involved in this war, even as strong statements are coming now from Moscow and from Beijing. We'll have to wait and see how this really pans out and turns for Russia, China and Iran. At this point in time, Iranian diplomats killed in Lebanon is what we're reporting. We're now being joined by my colleague Shweta Singh, who is in Israel. Shweta, it does seem like this is a massive attack on Iranian diplomats, as has the case been when it comes to Israelis and American infrastructure being attacked in the Arab world by Iran.
Yes, indeed it is, Geeta. And the Israelis are known for their pinpointed and accurate attacks. While all along the day, Benjamin Netanyahu had been touring various locations which Iran had claimed to have attacked, including the ports. He went to the Ashdod port, and even their transport minister made a statement. He sent it out as a message to the world about how a country which has which is fighting a war, has its skies open. There are commercial flights landing and taking off from Israel, has its currency being strengthened, and it has a transport that is thriving, a trade that is thriving. I think amidst this, Israel did launch this major attack in which 5 Iranian diplomats have lost their lives. And Geeta, that brings us to the statement which was made that tonight will be a difficult night for Iran. And while everybody was interpreting what it could mean, perhaps this is part of it. Geeta.
Far in Jerusalem, Shweta, so quickly and briefly, I'd like to know, you've toured the country. What's the situation on the ground when it comes to Israel? Because this is the first time we're also seeing Israeli airspace being breached like never before.
Geeta, today in Jerusalem, in Bet Shemesh, I went to Bet Shemesh, the place where the maximum number of casualties has been there. 9 people died. And it was actually shocking to see a bomb shelter actually torn up. It was a 500 kg bomb that fell on that particular bomb shelter. 9 people dead, 50 people injured, 250 houses that have been affected by this. And in fact, a German minister was there to tour the area and see what had happened there. It was shocking for everybody. And it was one moment that Iran celebrated, saying that Israel does not have a reply to our ballistic missiles. But look at that particular impact. And there were 2 other deaths in 2 different locations around Tel Aviv, and both were cluster bomb deaths that we saw. So I went to all these 3 places where there have been casualties. There have been a total of 11 people who have lost their lives in Israel. Definitely, there has been a breach in the air defense, but it is not to be. It is not in the same magnitude as the opponents of Israel are claiming. So there has been damage, but tomorrow I hope to see the Haifa port, Geeta, because there is another claim by Iran that they've damaged the port and the operations are affected. So I need to go and see the refinery and the port. But as far as when we talk about these particular areas, the falling debris from the sky is a huge difference from the past conflicts that Israel has faced. That is why this time there is an alarm that goes off 2 minutes before the missiles are supposed to invade the airspace. Then about a minute before the impact or the interception, there is another siren that goes. And people are not allowed to come out of the bomb shelters at least 10 minutes after the interception, because the falling debris has caused a lot of damage as far as property is concerned. And the injured have been injured as a result of the falling debris from the skies, the missile debris. Because before this, what Israel saw was rockets being fired at various locations within Israel. So this is the difference that we are seeing. Israel, as we know, the Iron Dome, the Iron Beam, the David Sling that we talk about, it has a 90% success rate. So a 10% failure so far had been in locations which were not heavily populated. But this time, that 10% is very stark. And that is the reason we see a bomb shelter that is torn apart, Geeta.
Right. Very, very interesting piece of information, Shweta. Keep tracking the news. Stay safe. Stay guarded. India Today is one of the networks that is spread far and wide. And amidst all the fog of war that you see, they're telling you what exactly is happening on the ground. We'll get in touch with Shweta tomorrow when she visits Haifa port. Shweta, thank you so much for joining us for now. Now, Iran's Revolutionary Guards have intensified attacks on U.S. and allied targets across West Asia following the killing of their supreme leader. Several American bases in the region were struck and U.S. casualties have been reported. Iran has also destroyed key U.S. defense systems and moved to close the Strait of Hormuz, disrupting global oil supplies and pushing prices above $100 a barrel. Meanwhile, Mujtaba Khamenei, son of the late supreme leader, has emerged as Iran's new power center with strong backing from the IRGC.
US and Israel may have miscalculated Iran's capabilities, because this conflict is not like the 12-day war of June 2025, where the US-Israel coordinated strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities left Tehran crippled or seemingly so. But this time, Iran has some surprises up its sleeves.
Oh my God.
Before the war, when US held talks in Geneva, President Trump had said the US was sending a big, beautiful armada towards West Asia. As USS Abraham Lincoln, along with USS Gerald R. Ford, followed the orders of its commander-in-chief, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, also called the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, conducted drills in and around the Strait of Hormuz. The Revolutionary Guard was established in 1979 by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini to safeguard the new Islamic Republic and its ideology founded after the Iranian Revolution. It is different from Iran's regular army and reports directly to the Supreme Leader. The Revolutionary Guard has its own army, navy, air force, and intelligence units. It also commands the Basij, a paramilitary consisting of around 90,000 active personnel used for enforcing domestic laws. Following the killing of Ali Khamenei, the Revolutionary Guard has been relentlessly fighting the US and Israel, while tactically attacking Arab neighbors like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and Bahrain. Iran targeted Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the largest US military base in the region. Al Salam base in Kuwait and the Al Dhafra air base in the UAE were also targeted. The US 5th Fleet base in Bahrain was also reported hit. Prince Sultan Air Base, a hub for US-Saudi cooperation, was also targeted. Erbil Airport in the Kurdistan region of Iraq was also struck. At least 7 US service members have been killed since the start of the war. Iran also destroyed second United States terminal high-altitude area defense system in West Asia, alongside its dedicated radar in the UAE and a US $1.1 billion early warning radar in Qatar. The most important move of the Revolutionary Guard was to close the Strait of Hormuz, a critical lifeline for global energy supplies. The closure of the strait has directly affected over 20 million barrels of crude oil and petroleum products that used to pass through daily before the war started. The strait also handles global LNG exports, particularly from Qatar, which are meant for Asian markets like China, India, Japan and South Korea. The strait for now has been opened to China, which had signed a 25-year comprehensive strategic partnership with Iran in 2021. In a recent announcement, the Revolutionary Guard said that they would provide unrestricted passage to certain countries through the Strait of Hormuz. But this will be conditional. They said that only those Arab or European nations that expel Israeli and American ambassadors from their territory will be granted the right to transit through the strategic waterway. This comes amid soaring oil prices to over $100 per barrel. Mujtaba Khamenei is the second son of Ali Khamenei. Though dynastic ruling is prohibited in Iran's selection of the supreme leader, the proximity of Mujtaba to the Revolutionary Guards seems to have influenced his selection. Reports suggest control and legitimacy as factors leading to Mujtaba's selection. He has very strong ties across the Revolutionary Guards command networks and was a key link between his father, the supreme leader, and the Revolutionary Guards leadership. The decision on Iran's next course of war depends on Mujtaba as he suffers personal loss with the death of his father, wife and daughter, along with many Iranians and top officials whom he represents now. With Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
Welcome back. Now, the economic shockwaves of Donald Trump's war in West Asia are now being felt worldwide, from the United States of America to Europe and now to Asia as well. Fuel prices are rising as global oil markets react to the escalating conflict and fears of supply disruptions.
The ripple effects of the escalating conflict are now being felt far beyond the battlefield. Global oil and gas prices are surging, markets are jittery, and motorists across continents are already bracing for higher fuel costs. Energy trade has been thrown into turmoil as tensions around the Persian Gulf disrupt shipping routes and threaten supplies. A key concern, the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow maritime corridor through which nearly 1/5 of the world's oil and LNG passes. Americans are paying the price for Trump's war in West Asia. In Los Angeles, gas station price boards are climbing rapidly. The average price of gasoline in the United States has already jumped by more than 11 cents overnight. Analysts say the biggest risk lies in supply disruptions in the Persian Gulf. Any prolonged instability could choke global shipments, sending energy markets into deeper shock. Asia remains especially exposed, relying heavily on imported oil and gas transported through the Strait of Hormuz. In France, motorists are already lining up at petrol stations amid fears of shortages and rising prices. For many French citizens, every trip now requires calculation. In Poland, commuters say that they are already switching to buses and subways to avoid rising fuel bills. Economists warn the price spike could push inflation higher again. Drivers in Germany say the pressure is mounting, even if some are trying to fuel up across borders where prices are cheaper. From Europe to America, fuel pumps are becoming the first front line of the conflict's economic fallout. And if tensions escalate further, the world could be heading towards a new energy price shock. Bureau Report, India Today.
While the world is feeling the fuel shock when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz being shut, it's the other way around as well. What is the Arab world really feeling? To discuss this and more, I'm being joined by Ashutosh Mishra, my colleague from Dubai. Ashutosh, thank you so much for joining us. What's the situation on the ground in Dubai when it comes to basic supplies? Since we do know that a lot of the basic supplies, food, necessity, essential items are all stuck in ports here and many other countries and are not being able to reach West Asia.
Well, absolutely right. And UAE largely for essentials, totally rely on its import when it comes to vegetable, fruits, spices, other necessities. It comes from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. So 90 to 95% of the essential supplies when it comes to food or other essentials is because this is a landlocked country, a sea-locked country, perhaps the only resource. So one of the largest port located at Dubai, because of the Gulf of Persia and the engagement that we are seeing at the moment in this Strait of Hormuz. So clearly a lot of crunches that UAE is facing through. However, the state government has issued certain orders, even asking people do not hoard of the essential commodities, do not stockpile. We are maintaining supply. There are some corporate groups like Lulu, groups who are also ensuring through the special flights, they are also maintaining the supplies and the imports. So many of these corporate, the companies in UAE are playing a critical role, pivotal role in terms of maintaining supply and distribution chain. But, for a very short term measure, clearly these optics can really help such a vast country with a huge number of people. But when it comes to prolonged war-like situation, which is expected to be longer for more than many weeks, clearly it is going to jeopardize the entire situation we are already seeing in the global crisis. And clearly UAE cannot maintain a distance from it. So far they have essential stock to maintain the smooth supply. But essentially what is important, because you have a durability issue with the fruits, with the vegetables, which come essential from other Asian countries. So clearly there will be crisis, and eventually we will also hearing reports of the prices are going up with regards to vegetables are concerned, fruits are concerned, and this is being Ramadan. Again, the large number of imports is totally relying on the Asian countries. So in the peak of the festive season, in the month of Ramadan. So clearly,
right.
yes, the crisis is pretty open for UAE.
Right. Ashutosh, you keep tracking developments over there. We'll keep coming to you for all the reports and dispatches from Dubai. But for now, it's the holy month of Ramadan or Ramzan. And it's during this month that we are seeing war, we're seeing conflict. And will there be an end to this war is something we all will have to wait and see. With that, it's a close of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye and take care.